more to 4 million because I couldn't, you know, it would be out of control. If I was 4 million, I couldn't be growing more to 8 million. And that was probably a big mistake. I should have probably gone talk to a psychologist.
So you actually limited the growth of your company as a result?
Yeah, I just couldn't, I just felt like for every one person that we had, I could add one more person, but I couldn't add more than that in a year because then people, you know, we wouldn't have the quality and we wouldn't have the, you know, we wouldn't, you know, it just couldn't happen. That the wheels would fall off the bus, and it was just a psychological thing that I just couldn't get past. And I think having to do that again, we'd figure out ways to do training and to manage growth where you could grow 5 times, you know, in a year or whatever the market. So we were always known as the company that limited our growth.
As a result of your management style and the culture of your company, how does that then translate into constantly innovating new products or ideas for your company and for your clients? Yeah,
I think in fact, we just had our R&D product manager meeting here this last week, and so we're a very global company, and so for our product managers come from Spain, they come from China, they come from the Netherlands, Belgium, of course the US, India, so we have quite a diverse set of people in our group, and we divide the company up from the development aspect into different areas of product, whether it's manufacturing products or customer-facing products or financial products, and they are really responsible for creating their ideas and the roadmap of where the products we're going to have to go to, but then we do a venting. So they come in and present it, and we all listen what they have to say, and we throw out ideas, and and I think through that venting and that kind of, I hate to say group think, but we come up with some pretty great and innovative products.
Thank you. It looks like one of my students has a question. Awesome.
From my understanding, every major company will eventually take a major loss. So what I would like to know is, in your company starting out, what was your first major loss or like obstacle that you had to overcome?
Major loss mean like financial loss?
Just whatever sort of obstacle that you had to...
I think because we've always been quite conservative, I don't think we've ever, you know, financially really lost money, maybe not made a lot of money, but not lost money and been able to make payroll. Except I do want to point out one thing. It was 5 years after I started QAD before I made as much money as I made when I started the business. So it was, you know, a lot of, I thought it'd be 2 years, it was 5 years, you know, so I took a real financial setback for many years before I could pay myself. And if I would have stayed in private industry or stayed working for somebody, I would have been making a lot more than I paid myself 5 years later. For me personally, the personal loss is when a customer decides to leave us and go elsewhere, or an employee that I respected highly decides to leave and go someplace else. Those are what I consider, those are the losses that I have a hard time getting over, you know, is why we were doing such a good job for that customer, or why did we fail that customer, you know, why is it that they have chosen to leave and go to a new product, work with a new customer, or an employee that I really respected, that I worked with, particularly one that I worked with quite a bit, decides to leave the company. Those are the losses that affect me the most.
Thank you.
Bonnie, I have a question.
Yes, please. Thank you, Glenn.
When we had lunch the other day, Pam, you said something that would really impress me, and that is your attitude about your customers, whoever they may be. Would you mind just repeating what you told us the other day?
Oh, I'm not quite sure I remember exactly, but you know, we sell to manufacturing customers. So okay, a company that was out yesterday is A.O. Smith, and A.O. Smith is a large manufacturer of water heaters. Probably has about 50% of the market in water heaters. So if you go look at what your water heater is, it's probably a Rheem. That's bad. They're the competitor. Or A.O. Smith. And I do try to buy our customers' products. So so for me, you know, watching the customer and and making sure that they're satisfied and we're providing value for them. To me, that's the best thing. You know, when a customer comes in and they say, well, we're having a problem with your product in this area, I jump all over that and make sure that it gets fixed. And when they come in and say, hey, you know, you've really helped us, our sales have grown by 30% and our inventories have shrunk by, you know, 10%, and in financial we're doing so much better because of your product, and our employees are happier and our management's happy. That's success, you know, really making your customer happy. And oftentimes, particularly in the 2000 time period, I would go over and talk to the UCSB graduates or ready to graduate seniors, and they would say, you know, what program should I write, or what company should I work with that I can make the most money in the shortest period of time? And to me, I go, well, you know, is that going to make you feel good? You know, are you going to be happy if you can sell something for $1 million and it turns out to be worthless for whoever bought it from you? Is that going to make you feel like you've done a good job? And for a while they think, well, then I'd have the money. But, you know, how do I look at some people that I know that have participated at one point in this kind of fraudulent stock market, and they were able to take out 10, 20, 30 million dollars, and now they're all living in Florida, because in Florida you can buy a house and homestead it and they can't take it away from you even if you go bankrupt or get sued. And is that success? I don't think so. Is that something that you'd feel good about, and feel good about telling your children and grandchildren that I made a lot of money but I didn't provide any value?
So is the driving force at the beginning, and is the driving force for you today to make a quality product, or was the driving force at the beginning to make money?
Well, I think that's a balance. You know, money is kind of like the score at a basketball game. You know, if I'm winning, the score is high, and if I'm winning, then I'm increasing sales and making money. And so that's kind of the score. But what you do is how you play the game. You know, what matters is how you play the game. If you play the game by kicking and shoving and, you know, beating the other guy up and breaking his nose, that's not gonna, you know, that's not what I'd want to be known for. That's not the kind of player I'd want to be known for. So I think at the end of the day, it's being able to say, I made this great I made this great product and people really liked it. So, you know, there's all kinds of things that you can do in the world, and it's, for me, it's nice to make something that provides value. My son is graduating this year from college, and I said to him, I said, well, maybe you should go to work for Electronic Arts and write computer games, because you were addicted to that, you know, Warcraft game. And he goes, oh, Mom, I'm way past that. I don't play games anymore, and I wouldn't write games because I think they're bad for children. I'm going, okay. So he finally had this realization that he spent all his time playing games. You know, he'd be on the computer playing these networked games all the time, and he realized that about 3 years ago, he said, that's not going anywhere. That's not going to lead me to anything, and I'm going to just quit. And he just quit playing games. And now he's saying, you know, what is it that I want to do? And it's kind of an interesting, you know, he said, I want to have something to do with the product that does something good for people or the earth or something. You know, he said, I don't need to make a lot of money. I don't really care about, you know, having a big house. I just want to be comfortable, and I want to do something that's good. And I go, well, that's good. That's you know, I don't know. It doesn't sound like he wants to start his own business. He said, maybe in a few years, let me see what I can do for a career, and that's just fine.
There's this notion that people that go into business have to be driven and hard-nosed, and that good ethics and integrity is oftentimes a detriment to your success. And I think the message you're sending us tonight is that your ethics and your integrity are a critical part of your success. Are we reading you correctly here?
Well, I always like to ask the question, you know, if you've treated your customer well, they'll buy from you again. If you don't